Everyone stand please, we'll do the pledge. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Larry Light will do our...
Okay, let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you this evening on this Easter Monday for your goodness to us as our Creator and our Redeemer through Christ. Lord, we acknowledge you tonight and our dependence upon you. We pray for the people in Kenya, Africa, that you will give them your comfort and support in the loss of a loved one. Lord, we thank you for this meeting tonight and the leadership here. We pray for our mayor, the trustees, for the employees, for every person here. We give thanks for their willingness to serve. And we just pray that you'll give this group the wisdom they need to make decisions that would honor you and just prosper our community. Be with our businesses, the law enforcement. We pray for favor upon the citizens of this area. And just now commit this meeting to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. First thing we're going to do is the organizational appointments.
Yeah,
You need to read them all, or
do I?
you don't?
Or
Okay.
do you?
Okay, I guess I am. Appointments: Deputy Mayor Teresa O'Leary, Clerk Treasurer, Jody Brown, Deputy Clerk Treasurer Misty Phoenix, Superintendent of Public Works Roger Hoyt, Police Chief Brian DiLorenzo, Building Inspector Stephen Dutcher, Code Enforcement Official Stephen Dutcher, Attorney David Merzick, Historian the Walton Historic Society, Budget Officer Jody Brown, Tax Collector Jody Brown, Register of Vital Statistics Jody Brown, Deputy Registrar Misty Phoenix, Health Officer Dr. Rodriguez Betancourt, Justice Paul Lauser, Acting Justice Richard Gomo, Financial Institutions, NBDC Bank, National Bank of Delhi, Community Bank, Media, Newspaper, The Walton Reporter, Radio Station WDLA. Is it still called The Walton? It's called
Just the report.
Just the Reporter now, right? That's what I thought, I'm sorry. The Reporter, change that. Board meetings, the monthly Board of Trustees meetings will be held on the first Monday of each month at 6 p.m., except when it falls on a holiday. Then it will fall on the second Monday of the month. Any other meetings will be fixed by the board at its discretion. Planning board meetings, the monthly planning board meetings will be held on the first Thursday of each month at 6 p.m., except when it falls on a holiday, on which occasion the date will be determined by the planning board, and the zoning board meetings as determined.
That's it?
Yep. You need a motion, right? Need a motion for that?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 2, the abstracts. Everyone has got copies of the abstracts over the weekend to take a look at them. If there's no questions, I'd like to have a motion.
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 3, we'll go to department heads. Steve Dutcher. Excuse me.
Good evening.
Hi, Steve.
I'd like to start with a unsafe structure hearing for 56 Delaware Street. I sent out notice, I think it was in my summary that I sent out last week. First part of March 12th, excuse me. More of the roof on 56 Delaware collapsed, pushing the east wall, or the wall towards Delhi, out further. I had Bill Brown come down and take a look at it from Delaware Engineering along with me, just to kind of get his 2 cents worth in terms of whether we were concerned about immediate collapse or not. His assessment was kind of the same as mine. It's an old wooden structure. They don't tend to catastrophically collapse. They just tend to rot away. but it's enough damage at this point that we were also in agreement. I don't think there's anything salvageable there.
Really?
It's, I mean, the roof has been exposed, or the interior has been exposed to a leaking roof, or at least a large portion of the interior for at least 8 years now. You know, there's a lot of decay and rot in there. If you stand outside of the building and look at it, or go inside, because most of the walls are stripped on the inside, especially on the second floor, you can see all of the, you know, all of the you know, all of the studs are leaning in that direction, you know, leaning towards the east. I sent Mr. Robinson a notice on the 12th, advising him that he had 30 days to either put the structure on the ground, or 90 days to make repairs. The repairs would include providing stamped plans for the reconstruction of the building. 30 days obviously being up on the 12th of this month, which is Sunday, I believe. I am aware that there was a pre-demolition meeting. DigSafe was contacted by Mr. Robinson. There was a pre-demolition meeting held on the 1st. That's the only thing that I know that has taken place on the property since that notice went out. And part of the notice was that whichever route he chose to go, either tearing it down or fixing it, you know, work needed to begin immediately. It needed to be, again, whether it was demolished or repaired, completed by
Currently
those.
it's accessible, it's not boarded up, or?
Well, the more it falls apart, the more
Oh, yeah.
accessible it's gonna become.
Sure.
I mean, at this point, I think I was up there with him the day of, probably, I think it was the 12th that I was there with him. You can't get in the door anymore on the one side where there was access, because the wall is just, you know, all cockeyed, and you know, I've been patient, and I'm a firm believer in trying to save what we can, but you know, I don't see it. So I see Mr. Robinson showed up, so if he has anything to say, I guess.
Yeah, I know, I've been to 18 buildings in Walton, and, you know, I made a lot of renovations, a lot of them, and I think part of it's salvageable. I'd like to get the permission to bring it down to the first floor, and then have an engineer come in. I had an engineer there about a month ago probably, but it was just so much snow, I couldn't really take a look at it and try to, but, you know, so that's what I like to do. And now you send out getting a permit to bring it down to that point. I don't know why the basement should be open anyway. It would be safer having the floor on and covered, rather than have a hole there. And so I just, but I intend to get that down right away, down to that point.
When you say first floor, you mean level to the basement?
No, the first floor of the house. We're gonna bring it down, so I don't want to leave the basement open.
No, I understand, but I'm saying, when you bring it, you mean you're gonna make it level with the ground, but the basement's below the ground?
Yeah, I'll take the second story, the roof off, the second story off, and the walls down. And then down to the first floor. The first floor really isn't that bad. The whole house is not that bad. There's one wall on the east side that's bad, and but it's, and of course the roof has been in there. Actually, the floors are not rotted upstairs, but that's, you know, but.
I'm just trying to clarify what you're saying. It's a two-story structure, correct? Or one-story structure?
No, it's a two-story.
It's a two-story with a basement.
Yeah.
Two-story with a basement. So you don't wanna take down one story and leave one story with the basement? Or you're talking about taking down the two stories and leave the
No,
basement
pretty
with
much
a,
a two-story. I'm gonna take all the walls down. Only gonna have left is just the floor.
just the floor?
Floor, yeah.
Oh, okay, so,
But
They'll
then-
fill in the basement, right? But you're gonna have the bottom floor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And, so we'd just like to, take it down to that point, and then I can have the engineer come back in and see what he will tell us we can do, and so.
Were we to agree to that, when would you have that done by?
Well, the weather really has been pretty, but probably the next 2 weeks. I know I've only got to this weekend, but I mean, I could get a 2 weeks extension to, that we could have it down there. It'd be probably less than that, actually.
And I will point out to the board that the last time we were here conducting this same process, when the building was open, Mr. Robinson was granted a 2-week extension at that time as well. The problem that I have, like I said, I've been trying to be patient. The longer we sit and talk about it, the more is rotting away. If I start seeing parts fly and things are getting taken down and an engineer shows up, I'm a happy camper. But I'm not convinced as I sit here that that's gonna happen.
What access is there? So if I understand what you told the mayor, the first floor, the roof, second floor, first floor walls all come down, so you just have the floor. What access is there from inside the house to the basement, and how would that be secured?
There's a door going into the basement, and then that's locked up. I have a lock in there, so, and would make sure that would be secure, so no one could go in the basement. I just don't want to leave the thing open because it's gonna be dangerous, and I can't get dirt up in there, soil with the snow and whatnot. I don't know why you're gonna get dump trucks up in there, so.
So,
Well, you've also been real unresponsive to Steve. I mean, have you really been communicating
Well,
with him or
Steve,
kept him up?
Steve, as to probably first prior to the last snow we got, was fine with taking the roof off and then reframing the roof. He was fine with that. But then the roof did collapse, even though we did shovel it. It did collapse, and it had to come up anyway. It's not a big deal. We both agreed on the roof was shot, but the rest of the structure is not that bad. I mean, I've been through a lot of buildings in town, and 18 of them, and which are currently assessed for 1.9 million. So it's I've been through a lot of stuff that, and they're all brought up to code. I mean, they're, but.
I'm a slow learner, so please again, so when I'm driving by, I'm gonna look, I'm just gonna see a flat floor,
Right.
okay? And the door going to the basement is gonna be boarded up?
No, it's working order, yeah. And
So I'll be seeing a flat floor and walls.
Yeah, with a basement wall up to the first floor. Yeah.
And then what happens?
Then I want to get an engineer to come in, tell me what I can and cannot do, and then, because I really hate to take that out, and then, if I take the whole thing down, put a new foundation in, it's gonna set me so high, it's not worth doing. It's gonna be set so high, it's with all new structure, and then there's a lot of money there that's just gonna be wasted, so. But part of the foundation is concrete.
And the problem so far been weather-related, John?
Well, as far as, you can't get the equipment up in the snow and trying to get that thing down, I mean, it's just, if it would've been a little better, I would've got it down within the last 30 days, but.
I'm trying to get the grasp of this, and I hear one thing, and then I hear someone bring something else up again. You're talking about taking down, you're gonna leave the walls up on the first floor? Is that what you thought? It's not gonna be a flat,
Be the same as this room here, only under is the basement, taking all the walls down, the ceiling out, and everything out. It's gonna be the first floor. I'm gonna leave there for right now. And if my engineer tells me it's not good enough operate, I mean, it's not.
you're gonna leave the first floor.
The first
Yeah.
floor
The
surface.
floor of the first
The
floor.
Floor of the
But I'm
first
saying, but they
floor.
were talking about getting to the basement, and you said you're gonna have the walls, how are you gonna get into the
Well,
basement?
if I could speak, the front of the wall is wood. The foundation goes 3 sides of the building. So the front wall is already there, it's already wood. So if he takes down the top 2 floors, it'll be at dirt level with 3 sides of the or 3 walls going back, across the back and down the 2 sides, but the front is wood. So that's below ground level right now.
Okay, so there was no, from the first floor, there's no access to the basement other than going outside and coming in from?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, that's where I
That
was
door,
confused.
okay, all right, okay.
Thank you, that clarifies for me. This has been an eyesore for a long time, and I know we've had previous conversations with the problems in the back and things falling down, having to get it boarded up. So for my confidence is really questionable, is were we to give you the extension, what guarantees do we have that we're gonna be farther along by the 13th of April?
So another, now we can get in there.
Yeah, we can get in there now and do something. Yeah, and when I bought the property, I did a lot of work to it. I cleaned it up. I did a lot of work to the building. I've been mowing the grass, the sidewalks being shoveled, you know, all this stuff. Even though some of the neighbors, they weren't required to shovel their walk, but mine was always done. And I haven't kept it mowed up there, so it's, you know.
He's asking you what guarantees says it.
Oh, I guarantee,
As long as the weather permitting, right?
yeah, I mean, we can have it.
Well, let me ask you-
It's not gonna be all removed, because Mr. Ducker did say I could have part of the summer to get the stuff out of there, but it'll be down.
But he just wants to make sure
Well,
it's down.
part of it was you said that if they were going to do any kind of repairs or whatever, you would have 90
They
days
would have 90 days to do that,
to
correct?
get that done. However, you want to see stuff being accomplished towards that goal.
Right.
You're saying, or if it was going to demolish, then you had 30 days to
30
take it
days.
down. So you're in between both. You're not going to totally, you're going to knock everything down for the stuff in the basement. And, well, if he gets this done within the time frame, he's partially complying with what you're asking, correct?
Well-
But he's getting all the dangerous stuff down.
My last conversation with Mr. Robinson was that, well, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and take it down. So that's where I'm, you know, this new, I'm gonna take it down and leave the three, you know, the 4 basement walls and the first floor surface on there. That's new to me.
Okay.
But you also have had problems not getting communication or contact.
It's not so much communication, it's, you know, we have a conversation, yep, I'm gonna do this, and then we wait. So, you know, I would say that if what he's telling me tonight is that he is moving towards repairs, then what I need to see is a set of stamped plans promptly, and I understand that he wants to get some of the stuff demolished that he's not going to reuse or rebuild out of the way so that the engineer can take a look at it. But I need to see a set of stamped plans, 30 days. I mean, we're at 60 days left now, 60 days and a week left now on the making repairs. So, you know, 30 days to get a set of stamped plans, that means he's got another 30 days to get all the repairs done. At that point, it's kind of unrealistic that it's gonna happen, just given the amount of work that needs to be done. We can work through that, that's not a problem. I just need to see progress moving forward, because this has been 2 years.
Well, I think probably,
Longer than that, because it was prior to him owning the structure that there was issue there.
I think just as a board or individuals, I think we've all gotten probably more negative comments about the status and the appearance of that building than any other building in the village.
From my
Right,
perspective,
I know it's
I understand it's an eyesore, but from my perspective, it's a safety issue first and foremost. And if some more of that roof lets go, as confident as I am that it's an old wooden structure and it's gonna fall apart in little bitty pieces, the whole wall could go tomorrow,
Sure.
you know.
What clout do you have? I mean, what's the consequence of, say,
Well, this is one of the consequences. You can either agree to, okay, it looks like we're moving towards, you know, this 90-day window, and we're gonna be making repairs, and we're gonna get the stuff that's hanging high and falling apart down so it doesn't land on somebody's head. And you can be satisfied with that, and so long as we're moving forward, that's great. Or you cannot be satisfied with that explanation and say, we're taking it down tomorrow.
we can do that.
We can do that. That's the whole purpose of this hearing.
So John, your timeline is the next 2 weeks, by the 13th of April, you have everything down to the floor. And it's not done all the way, but the demolition will be done by then. But when will you have the engineer come in to look at it? Before things come down? Because if you got a pile of rubble, then he's not gonna be able to see anything.
You know, it have to be after that.
So after it comes down, after the rubble's removed,
And how long will that be?
yes.
It's gonna have to be within that 2-week timeframe, because that rubble's gonna have to be out of the way in order.
So it has to be down and cleared?
Down and
The rubber's
clear.
not gonna be out of there, but you did tell me it has some time to take this out. There's other buildings in Walton that aren't being brought up, that people are living in, that are almost as bad as mine, so it's ridiculous, you know, so.
So what, you guys have for recommendations?
John, what is your plan, best case scenario? You take this down, and then what are you hoping to do with it?
I'd like to rebuild something on there, another structure for real estate. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure about that, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you
I'd
said.
maybe putting on, just put something back on there, maybe to rent out or whatever.
A residence is
Yeah.
what you're talking
Or
about?
commercial property.
So we don't know what's gonna happen with it?
No,
No.
if it's zone commercial.
Mhm.
Well, it's more of a question than a suggestion. How would people feel about having John, as we sit here, give us a timeline of what he's gonna accomplish? And it's sort of dragged on as it is, and if the timeline isn't kept, stage one, then we'll take it down. I think we're sort of bent at this point.
I thought he said 2 weeks.
Well, but, I mean, make it formal, and then Steve's got some clout to,
Is that what you said, John? 2 weeks?
Yeah,
for what?
To get it down.
To get it down.
get down.
And from a code standpoint, it's mostly getting it down, and then with what little is left, making sure it's safe. And then what happens after that?
And then it's, you know, if he's gonna rebuild on it, then engineer assesses it, and they come up with a stamped plan that says, this is what we're going to build here. He pulls the building permit, and he moves forward on that.
But if he takes it down and secures what's left, so it's not a hazard, then that's really all he has to do, right? Because we can't require him to build something else, as long as it's secure. We can't require somebody to build on a property that's been taken down.
Yeah, I guess that's a valid point. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, if it was taken down to that point, I would still want to see an engineer's assessment in terms of the foundation, so that we
And
know,
makes perfect sense.
so that we
Sure.
know what we're dealing with, so that,
Okay.
you know, if,
What I need engineers, if it's under 1,500 square feet,
with a residential structure, any structural repairs, and this is a massive structural repair, over exceeding the cost of $20,000 requires stamp plans. And in this case, I can require at least an engineer's assessment on the foundation if you plan on building back on that foundation.
Okay.
But
When
I'm
would you-
also, I'm sorry, John.
No, go ahead.
I'm concerned about the removal of the rubble.
That's what I was gonna
I don't like the thought that that's gonna sit there for months and, you know, attract critters and be dangerous.
no,
and-
it's understandable. You know, it makes sense to get it, I mean, I can't get overnight out of there. It's gonna have to be, I have some time to get out of there.
And I guess that's what I'm asking,
Well, as you're
what's
taking
your
it down, can't
interpretation
they
of some time?
get a truck and just take it and go take it with tipping fees, whatever, wherever you gotta go? I mean, isn't that,
Well, that takes months just to do that.
I
What,
mean,
to
it's
do
not-
what?
You gotta pick it up physically by hand and put it in the dump truck, so it's labor intensive. And it would take, several weeks, probably if not months, to actually do that, to clean it up perfectly. There's a lot of material there.
well, you're gonna have like I'm assuming you're gonna have like
Excavated.
excavator, thank you.
Well,
Take it down, or what is your, huh?
You can't fit one in there.
So how you gonna take it down? You're gonna do it by hand, you mean?
Well, pretty much, just, I got a big forklift and whatnot.
Well, we use the excavator to take it down, we just can't.
I can't, you know, in the excavator now. It's too big.
Can't you put a dumpster there or something and throw it in and have the dumpster take out? You can't, couldn't you do that too?
Yeah.
I mean, you want us to work with you, you gotta like work with us too, you know what I mean?
I plan on getting a dumpster.
If you just take it down, I see a bunch of crap there that's gonna sit around for 2 months,
I
then I can't expect the board to say, sure, go ahead, just take it down and leave the crap there.
No.
If you're gonna take it down, you gotta do something with it.
Putting a dumpster in the front yard, you know, I've got one that's coming in, all the
Okay.
windows are going in, the roofing's going in there, yeah.
Why
Well,
can't you
if-
use,
If you take, oh, go ahead, Charlie.
Why can't you use an excavator in town?
You can, but the overhead lines are, my excavator's way too big. It's not, because there's a lot of lines there, it's too dangerous. The power lines in front. I
If
mean,
he,
it's-
if he
So-
takes it down within the time frame that he gives us, of 2 weeks or week, whatever it is, and, but there's all the rubble still there, is that enough of a safety hazard at that point? I know we're like.
Yeah, I mean,
but
I
can you-
wouldn't,
I see kids climbing on it.
yeah, given the location, as I had explained to him before, you know, if you got it down and it took you a little bit of time to either take it down and take it away in bits and pieces or whatever, or get it all down, that's understandable, but, you know, at this point, we're gonna take it down to the first floor. I mean, I can't imagine that stuff sitting around more than a month.
Right.
Yeah, we'll put a fence around this when we're doing it, so nobody will be able to trespass on there.
And then what happens if they don't meet their own deadline that we would have approved of?
Then I'd have to double check this, but I think, you know, if we set this deadline, or you agree to this deadline and say, you know, by X date it's going to be down, by X date it's going to be removed. If it's not removed, then I believe we could step in, remove it for him,
Send them a bill?
send him a bill.
How many, if I could say something, how many days do we have right now to take the building down? What was the original days?
We got like 3 days left.
We have 3 days left.
The original was
Yeah,
30
if you-
days from the
If
date
you were
of the
gonna take it
notice.
down and just, yeah.
If you're gonna take it down and, you know, foundation and all, and be done with it,
Not fun.
If we could, I mean, to ask for a month to do this, because we have to do a lot of this by hand, and I think 2 weeks is honestly,
Yeah, but no, I
with weather
told 'em-
permitting.
Yeah, I just told them we could have it down though within 2 weeks.
Down in 2 weeks.
They'll be down within probably down within, but let's give them 2 weeks to get down. And then I'll need another 6 or 7 weeks to get it down there. You know,
Okay.
I mean, you know, Steve did tell me I'd have several months to get out of there if necessary, and then I want to do it in a month, okay?
Steve, I honestly don't know if, by say doing this 2-week thing and then moving, if we're giving you some teeth and something to work with, or if we're undoing stuff you've done. I honestly don't have it, or, yeah, are they both right?
they potentially are both right,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So you think you can get it out of there in a month? I mean, between the two of you, you don't seem to be together on this.
Well, we're busy, you got a lot going on.
No, I understand that, but you,
Yeah, I think, I'd like to have 6 weeks, but, you know, Steve said I could have several months now, 6 weeks would be.
See, we're under the gun too a bit. I mean, there's any number of complaints we get as a board, as individuals out on the street about properties that are either dangerous or an eyesore or both. And then we're gonna have to explain ourselves why we extended an extension that wasn't, you know, and I just wanna make sure that whatever we do has got some teeth in it, and it makes sense, and it's the right thing to do, and
Yeah, if we could ask for a little bit more time, it'd be much appreciated. Just for reality, taking it down, a month for taking it down, I think that's more reasonable, because it's labor intensive, and then for the cleanup, 2 months for the cleanup. I know the house has been there for over 100 years, so I don't think, 3 months in consideration would hurt it.
I just,
you know, I
don't-
understand what you're saying, but you've already
Yep.
been working with Steve on this and nothing's happened. That's my problem.
Well, up until recently, if I could say something, that we thought we could build on it. We thought we could refix it up, and then when Steve, I believe he condemned it.
No, Steve.
It's been condemned for a long time.
Before the roof came in, which didn't come in that much, but before that, Steve said I could get a permit and put a new roof on it. He was fine with that. But then all of a sudden now that the roof did not come in that much and the floors are not rotten, but now he wants it down.
I mean, the house,
And I think I have a right to determine whether or not I'm gonna
I
keep
get
it or
it.
not.
Well, we had an engineer take a look at it too. Our engineer took a look at it.
That's fine, but I got, I don't.
Steve's
Well,
maintaining.
What I'm
I'm not being,
thinking,
put you on the spot, but you took a look at it, right?
A good portion of the roof is collapsed.
Probably
The
this.
longer it sits there, the more it's gonna continue to collapse.
Maybe you should just hope for a good storm.
Yeah.
if you're standing in front of the house, you can see how the second story is kind
It's
of slanting
listing
down.
I just think
The
3
Boyd's
months.
house over there on Stockton, people are living there, and that roof fell in. Is that one condemned too? Because
It's worse.
people are living in that
It's worse
house.
than mine.
That-
living
And then
there.
that house fell in.
And that one is being addressed as
Yeah,
well.
okay.
We're working on it as well.
Get 2 weeks, maybe, need 2 weeks on that one?
But yeah, I mean, I'll admit, I'm not a construction person. It just seems like 3 months is a long time to, and if you're busy or you got other stuff going on, I'm sorry, when you take on a house, you take
Yeah.
on the responsibility. I mean, it just, you know, it's that house, that building, the structure, that property has been quite the topic for,
Well, it's right where everybody sees it, you know, I mean, it's not,
Well,
it's on the side
that's-
street, you know.
well, yeah. But that's, I mean, the nature of the, you knew that when you picked it up. I mean,
Yeah,
it's, you know, that was not a surprise.
No, no, no.
What I'm kind of thinking is, if you give them 2 weeks to tear it down, and of 2 weeks from tonight, 4 weeks from tonight, it's torn down and the rubble's gone. And that gives you some time, that gives you to work with if you need to, and how you do it, that's up to you.
So you want them down in 2 weeks, and you want to remove it in 4 weeks? total?
Yep, so by this time, next month, the building is down, the rubble's gone.
Yeah.
That gives you 2 weeks more than you've, beyond when it comes down. You've already had almost, 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks now since you were first notified that there's a problem. So there's several weeks already that you've had to address the problem, and to this point, there's nothing been done. That's kind of what I'm thinking, that,
Yeah, that's just, I just think that's unreasonable to do it in that time, just because I'm in the business, I know what it takes. I just learned that this building had to come down a week ago, so I didn't know this. Now I'm learning this. You know, I just think that's, for 2 weeks, for that much material, I mean, you know, a lot of that has come down by hand. I mean, if you could give us a little bit more time, it would be much appreciated.
but that's because the excavator that you choose to use is a large one. You could still rent a smaller one, hire a smaller one to do. Is that,
Yeah, I mean, every time something like that comes up, it seems like there's another way it could be done that would be closer to meeting our standard, and it just isn't coming up in the conversation. I guess I'm,
How much would the town charge us to remove it?
No, that'd be.
We're-
Well, the building next to the hardware store, it costs $49,000 to take it out.
we're trying to work with you
No,
on
I know,
this.
no, I appreciate it, I appreciate it.
I guess I'm feeling Charlie's timeline isn't being unreasonable, given everything about the case.
Well, originally you said down in 2 weeks, and then we had more time to remove it. So now it's 2 weeks to get it down, 2 weeks to get it removed.
Right.
So this is, it's just changed since I walked in, because originally it was 2 weeks to get it down, and Steve said we had all summer to get it out of there.
Well, I didn't say all summer, but
He-
I think realistically, you know, at this point, for whatever it's worth, my 2 cents, I think a month is realistic, given that they're not gonna take the entire structure. I think a month is realistic to get it down and have it
Yeah, I mean,
removed.
if you got a problem
So that's a
structure, it's your
you're talking a 6-week
responsibility. You took
period.
it on, whether you hire
For
more
4 weeks
people
from
or rent
today.
more
Oh,
equipment.
you-
it just-
okay, what Charlie said,
Right,
okay.
right, I would be in agreement with that, yes.
You're gonna put up a fence, you said, correct?
Yeah, we've had fences up there and flagging before, and, you know, like I said, you know.
I know that's not what you like. You like to have a lot more time. But I think that's kind of a compromise. We're not saying, by golly, have it all gone next Monday. Give you some time to work with.
So this will stay in the same effect with the Boyd's house over there, that the roof fell in and people are living, they're gonna have a month to remove it, or?
We just do one at a time, we're only
One at a
addressing
time,
this
okay.
right now.
Right.
It's just on, so, okay, well, then, I'll go for the month, to be down and out there in a month, okay?
Do we need just, given the reality of the potential of issues down the road, 2 weeks a month, do we need anything in writing, or is the minutes of the meeting from the hearing enough, or how do we?
I believe in past practice, we've done a letter,
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that.
a letter from the board stating, you know, this is what the board's decision is.
then there's no, I just don't want, so there's no misunderstanding.
That way
You know,
we got
there's-
Everybody knows what the agreement was.
Sure.
And that protects you, because, you know, Charlie Gregory changes his mind. Well, you've got the letter from the
So
village
you,
saying that's.
let's put it in a motion then.
Then I will move that we give the owner of 56 Delaware Street 1 month from today to take the house down and remove the rubble.
Is there a second on
Second.
that? All in favor of that?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain. I wish you guys luck with that.
Thank you.
Because I know what you're up against,
Thank you.
even though you haven't started already.
Is it? And you're gonna come to the next board meeting? I think that, not that I'm trying to get in the middle, you know, they made a vote on what they do. I'm thinking that if you get it down, put the fence up, and you're showing that you did pretty good with moving all this stuff, I think it might be something, you're just gonna show something on your part, because we haven't had that. You understand what I mean? Take the building down, put the fence up, show what you're doing, come back to us next month. You know what I mean? So,
I agree with that.
I'm trying to be in the middle here a little bit. Okay?
Thanks, guys.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, the only other thing I got,
And
Give us
Steve,
a second.
I didn't do that to undermine you.
Oh,
I'm
no.
just using my own judgment, okay? Even though I know they're behind the eight ball.
no, no problem. Community rating service, community rating system, there we go. Get the right- CRS. I put a note on there, out of the blue, I got contacted by FEMA. They're going to be in the area at the end of this month, so they're going to be here. We set up scheduled an appointment. They're gonna be here to do their community assistance visit for the town and the village on the 23rd and the 24th of this month.
Is this a necessary step in being able to get
This
points?
is-
Or
yep.
is this gonna generate points?
No, this is a necessary step. Basically, FEMA comes in and does their CRS or their CAV, excuse me. And what they're doing is ensuring that we are meeting the
Oh,
basic
okay.
minimum NFIP standards.
It's like an audit.
Right, it's
Okay.
basically an audit. I'm relatively confident that we will come through that. Once they're done with that, then FEMA sends a letter to ISO Insurance Services, and they're the ones that actually come do the points audit. So they can't come and visit until FEMA has done their visit. So this is step one.
And then is that point audit, is that the end of the, I said earlier from other meetings, that this is a longer process?
It is a longer process. We will have, from the completion of that FEMA cab visit on the 23rd and 24th, we will have 6 months to officially enroll in CRS. Okay, and that means submitting all of the documentation that I've been telling you, how much I fear having to gather.
Sure.
So, you know, from that date forward, it's gonna be 6 months of scrambling. Well, I make it sound worse than it is, because I got a bunch of stuff together already. But it will be basically just trying to document every little thing that we do related to flood stuff,
Sure.
to get every point that we can. So, you know, ultimately, the point is that cab visit is the official start of
Okay.
going through this process.
And then two questions. Once once that deadline is met, and so everything is submitted, what's the timeline after that as far as hearing back or whatever the act they need to take?
It depends on how long it takes us to, I mean, if we're going, we could see points as early as, or our official, you know, their final determination in terms of the number of points. We could see that final determination as early as 6 months, as long as a year after
After the
it's been
submission.
submitted.
And then is that Or then that's the points we have and that's it? Or can we keep working on getting more points?
We will then get reevaluated every year. You have every year there's certain documentation that you have to send to them. And then every 3 years, they actually come here and
You
do a
can lose
visit.
points too?
Right, you can lose points too, so, but you can also, and you can gain points. You know, every year, if there's something new that you're doing, you send them that documentation.
Can you gain points annually or every 3 years when they
You
show up?
you can gain them annually, yeah.
And the only other question, do you have need anything from us?
I'll let you know. I mean,
You're good about that.
I'm sure there will be. You know, ultimately, it's, and I keep talking about points and the consumer out there, you know, the people of the village of Walton who are paying for insurance, ultimately, they care about their wallet.
Sure.
Which I fully get. But I think sometimes I lose making the point that this is, more importantly, making our community safer. Because the more things that we do that we weren't doing, whether it's having an annual meeting and discussion about flood open to the public, or, you know, whatever it is that we do, it's making the public more aware. Hopefully, some people are taking some more steps to better protect themselves, because we as a community, as the municipality, we can only do so much. You know, in some cases, some people are, you know, some individual homeowners are gonna have to take it upon themselves to, you know, get their furnace out of the basement or whatever it is. But, you know, the overall goal is make our community safer. And if we make it safer, people who are buying insurance won't be paying as much.
Need less money.
Yep. So, all right, I will get off my soapbox now. Any other
While you're
questions?
here, why don't talk about this resolution for the flood? Have you taken a look at it yet?
I
think every-
actually haven't seen it.
Yeah, everybody has.
And this is for we are accepting the local flood analysis?
Yep.
We're not adopting it, but we're accepting
We're
it.
accepting it, so they're gonna go up to do the 3 tributaries, and
Right.
we're doing it in the towns.
Right,
They
so
got
this-
Bruce Stout here from the town's gonna do it too. Everyone's had a chance to read this, and,
So basically, this, as far as this LFA goes, this local flood analysis, this resolution is accepting kind of the first portion of our local flood analysis, which is the West Branch that we just completed. For now, we will accept that portion of it, and then we're gonna continue on with our local flood analysis going up. We're gonna study all 3 tributaries at the same time. That will produce some projects, some recommendations that we can do in terms of making flood conditions better around here. At that point, both the West Branch analysis and the tributary analysis will be kind of combined as one document, at which point we can adopt that as a plan.
Right.
This resolution is just accepting the first portion of it.
okay.
Is there any feel for what time frame we're talking about for the tributary analysis?
Flood
broad.
commission, yeah,
Bruce was pretty quick, he said he was gonna get on that, right?
Well, they're gonna start, so
Yeah.
it's still gonna take probably a good year.
A year or so.
About a year,
okay.
yeah.
And I'm just wanting folks watching the video to have a feel for,
Yeah.
it'd be about a year before.
Takes a
we get
while for these
results
studies
do
to
it
get
right.
done.
Right,
Right.
but the importance of approving this phase of it now opens us up for funding.
Yes,
So it's very.
for grant money to
important
do
that
all
we
this.
get Going on these.
right.
I'll move that we accept the resolution as presented to
Thank
us.
you. You need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Can we make this the first one of this year? Resolution?
I don't remember.
Oh, you don't? Okay, I don't see how.
Now can I
Okay,
go?
now you can go, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Yeah.
Chief?
Anything quite as exciting as that. I could probably get these to you soon, I don't know.
Thinking about popping open the
When
window.
checks are mailed during the day or
Oh,
whatever.
they have this new thing,
Freezing?
that's why it's called email.
Oh, I heard about that.
Exactly.
don't want to give you too much time to read it. That's the monthly stats, pretty much status quo, where it's been compared to last year. Calls are still up a little bit. Tickets were right about the same. Parking tickets were up. It has to do with that winter parking. A few unlicensed operation arrests, that's pretty typical. I had one drug arrest following a traffic stop on Stockton Avenue. Somebody from out of the area passing through. And then, again, we're right back at the domestics. That's pretty typical.
The top left, 4911 hang-up, that typical?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
hadn't caught my eye before.
Yeah. What's up, what seems to be up on this are the assist fire EMS. The EMS have been crazy busy, it seems. The guys typically, we encourage them, and they do if they're not tied up to go and be first responder. The EMS calls and then any assistance that's needed. But that's up substantially. I think it's just been a busy month for that.
I can tell you from the fire and then helping out the EMS, when we pull on scene and see your officers there, it's really good.
Mhm.
You know, they're there to help, just no matter what comes up. And
Sure.
they're very professional in that.
We'll appreciate that. You know, it's important with the first aid and CPR and all that. If, you know, something's going on, they can be the first ones there.
One of the things you have down there, 23 property checks,
Yep.
is that checking the doors? Or?
Yeah, checking for doors. Often we get people, and I would encourage people, if they're going away over vacation, something like that, we have cards that they can actually write in. They'll send us a letter or something along those lines to say they're going out of town. And we'll actually make an effort to, you know, walk around those residences and that type of stuff while they're gone. So
Good.
those are just general property checks. It's not really counting the foot patrols. We're trying to get the guys more and more up and down Delaware Street, just shaking doors, that type of stuff. But these are individual, you know, property type checks, residents or
That's good.
otherwise.
There is that, I mean, that just personally, that looks so good to see it, like a uniformed officer walking up Delaware Street, just hitting the stores,
Sure.
talking to people.
Mhm.
It's a phenomenal effect.
Well, I think the business contact that we did, I think we talked about a couple months ago, where we had the new guys go out and do it, that really helps. And we're gonna try and keep that current. You know, it's kind of been one of those things where you get it done and then it kind of falls by the wayside as businesses change. But we're gonna try and keep that as current as possible and just keep in touch with the businesses. And, I mean, I really would encourage businesses or residents, if something's going on, they need property checks, I mean, that's what we're there for, you know, and, you know, to reach out to us and let us know.
Another thing I like to bring up, that we've had a conversation about this already, but I want to, you know, it's going to be on air, let everybody know. Got a lot of people complaining about crosswalks. People going, it seems like some people here in Walton think that when a civilian puts his foot in the crosswalk, that means step on the gas pedal. And it doesn't. It means that the pedestrians have the right of way. And I get a lot of people complaining about it, and I've asked the chief to have the guys look into that. And if you see a pedestrian out there, let him cross. If you step on the gas and the police see you, they're gonna be giving you tickets.
Yeah, the law with that is, if it's a crosswalk at an uncontrolled intersection. In other words, if you think of a controlled intersection would be like a traffic light. So Delaware and Bridge, Delaware and Townsend, the motor vehicles have the right of way because the light assists crossing. But where there's not a traffic control device and there's a crosswalk, the pedestrians have a right of way, such as Liberty Street, across Delaware at Liberty Street. So, and the law states too that, you know, a pedestrian can't jump into the crosswalk and expect cars are gonna, it's worded reasonable amount, but if somebody's standing in the crosswalk and a motorist drives by that is a ticketable offense. And after conversation with the mayor and people complaining, we are gonna start, we've already started it. Have patrols just monitor crosswalks.
There is no crosswalk.
If there is no crosswalk, then it doesn't give the pedestrian right away.
Okay. I see some of that.
Right. Yep. So the pedestrians are supposed to be crossing at crosswalks, but if they do, they have the right of way. I know there used to be that sign in the middle of Delaware Street, and that just, I think, gave a target for people.
Became a
Yeah.
target.
So that's not necessary. You know, I mean, that's the law. It's a New York State law. It's just a matter of enforcing it and not only enforcing it, but making people aware of it. And so this is a good outlet for that. And that.
Yeah, I think we put those up initially some years ago when we decided to make an effort to start, maybe go back to Mel Wood and start making an effort to enforce the law that was on the books already.
Right.
Because it was, the enforcement was new, and we didn't have the video of the meetings or anything back then. Thought it'd just be an eye catcher, like, you know.
Well, anytime you do new enforcement, like we're doing at the town to school, elementary school, it's tough to get it out there. People are set in their ways, but we're trying to slowly pick these things off because they're quality of life. I mean, they really are. That seems minor that, you know, pedestrians should be able to cross. It's not that big a deal that you can zip by them, but that is quality of life. And it can be dangerous. I mean, we have people that don't move that quickly across the street, and, you know, the motorists have to be aware of that. So we will make an effort to
Thank you.
enforce that, yeah. One other thing I wanted to mention as far as the enforcement, that April is National Distracted Driving Awareness Month, texting.
Isn't it distracted driving awareness month, that's what.
It is.
You see what?
Is that,
Bit of an oxymoron, you
You're
think?
making me aware of being distracted, it just.
well, you're not driving right now. If you were driving, I wouldn't be doing this. So I just wanted to make the public aware that April 10th to the 15th, there's a national driving enforcement campaign, distracted driving enforcement campaign. And we, as part of the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee grants that we get for traffic enforcement, we will be somewhat participating in that. So it's not to say that that's the only time you should do that, but you'll hear, there's supposed to be radio ads and newspaper ads and that kind of stuff along those lines. So the 10th through the 15th, they're really trying to stress that it's a matter of not only enforcing it, but reminding people that it is dangerous and that they shouldn't be doing it.
Dude, I think it was maybe it was a year ago, if it's an annual week that they do it, and I drove through the south side of Oneonta by BJ's up through there. There were, I counted 8 or 9 separate trooper cars in that area. Every one of them had somebody pulled over. So I pulled over and started watching, and what they were doing is all those little intersections, BJ's and Rabbitohs, all those places, they'd pull back a little, and then what I got out of it was, I never saw that many troopers in the spot. With everybody, I think they were just sitting back watching people. They come up to the stoplight, one of the stoplights, get on their phone, boom, they'd nail them.
Yeah.
Understandably, and they were having a field day with it.
Well, it is dangerous, and I mean, and
Sure.
as part of our grants that we get, we really should be enforcing some of this stuff, so.
The only time that bothered me was when I was younger.
Now you can multitask. So,
Okay.
that's all I had, unless there's any questions
Thank you.
for me.
Anyone else have questions? Thank you, Chief. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Roger?
Hi, Roger.
Everybody got the report, I hope.
Yes, thank you.
Don't really have anything to
Add to it.
add to it.
Is the
if there's
fan
any
in
answers.
yet? I see you plan on putting that in.
We have the parts and pieces, and that should be here Thursday morning to put it up.
Nice. Is that something the company is doing?
Right. yeah.
Yes, okay.
And are they gonna be able to address the tiles and ceiling?
That's to be determined. I don't know, it depends on, you know, how generous they are, why they're here.
It'd be nice if they could.
It would
if
be,
they can.
yeah. It's gonna be approached, I can't guarantee they'll do it.
And we'll buy pizza. Get a couple pies.
Right.
We can work the other one.
Other than that, I mean, the biggest thing for the month was the frozen waters, but.
Yeah.
And the month prior to that also, so.
Everybody did a great job with those pipes. I know it's terrible for people not to have the water, but you did as well as you could.
You got enough road salt to last you through June?
I'm working on that. We haven't disassembled anything yet, so we're discussing that today, but we decided to wait off taking things apart. Other than that, I really don't have, unless somebody has anything.
No.
All right, thank you, Roger.
Good. Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thanks.
Bill?
Hi, Bill.
Basically, one item on our agenda tonight, but it is obviously a big one. Continued discussion regarding the biogas project, the digester project at the wastewater treatment plant. Last month, the village moved ahead with setting up the financing for that, with approving the bond resolution. The next step that we'd ask the board consider and hopefully take is to agree to our design contract, our professional services agreement for the overall project. We sent the agreement around a couple of days ago. Hopefully everybody got a chance to take a quick look at it. Our approach to the contract and to the project as a whole is to go from start to finish, starting where we are now with kind of the conceptual design, knowing what general parts and pieces are going in and where things are going, moving through final design to lock down where everything, all the components of the project, preparing and submitting the funding agency application. We're anticipate submitting a CFA, the Consolidated Funding Application, and with the state budget being approved just last week, they did include the CFA as part of that, so that information should be forthcoming here in the coming weeks. That application will go into finance. Right now, the pipeline portion of the overall project, the pipelines to get gas from the wastewater treatment plant site to the school and to Kraft. So we're submitting an application to get that part of the project funded. The bulk of the project is the digester itself and its different components. That's basically all within the wastewater treatment plant site. So our approach is to take the village through the entire project, from the initial design now through final design, funding agency applications, bidding award of contracts, working with the feedstock providers that will be bringing waste to the digester, the local industries that'll be supplying the fuel, so to speak. Working with them to set up user agreements and get the processes and infrastructure in place for them to get their waste to the wastewater treatment plant site and into the digester and producing the biogas that we're looking to make.
Bill, literally, like one day they're driving to Utica and the plant's up and operational, and the next day or week they drive to Walton?
Essentially. I mean, they'll be bringing their waste in tractor trailers. We're looking at probably 6 or 8 loads a day coming down to the wastewater treatment plant, and they will discharge into a tank that'll then pump into the digester, which is a 65-foot diameter tank by about 30 foot tall. It's buried a few feet in the ground, so it'll stick up probably 20-25 feet above the ground. There's another slightly smaller tank next to it, and then a control building and some other ancillary components in that area. So they'll come and drain into the tank. That'll be pumped into the digester. It's a biological process that breaks down the waste. There's mixing and heating equipment within that large tank that encourages that biological process. When the material breaks down, it gives off gas and becomes sludge. The sludge we dewater and take to the landfill, which is what we currently do with sludge. And then we have as a byproduct is the biogas. That is then processed. We run it through filters to take out the impurities. There's water in it, there's sulfur, and some other impurities that is filtered out. It's then blended with natural gas that we currently have access to at the site, to about an 80-20 blend. And then we can utilize it on site in generators to produce electricity to run the equipment that we already have, reducing operating costs. And then the other use of it is to sell it to the neighboring entities, the school, and to Kraft via the pipelines. So we have some flexibility in the use of the gas, based on seasonal use and whatnot. So that's the kind of the concept of how it's utilized.
How would this work if we didn't have the materials coming in?
If we didn't have craft and some of the other local industries, it wouldn't make sense to do the project. The digesters are typically in bigger municipalities that have more flow and produce more sludge than Walton does. For them, it makes sense to utilize it because they have a larger volume within their fence that they can make gas to run maybe their boiler to heat a smaller building. Because of our location and our local industries, you know, we can capitalize on that to provide a cost savings to them, so they don't have to go to 100 miles away to a disposal site. Instead, they can come, you know, to the other side of the river, saving them operational costs, producing energy that can then be reused or utilized. Part of the concept is to, you know, ensure the economic viability of the project would be to have user agreements in place with the local industries that we're going to be working with, so that because that's what's going to finance the project, and I probably should hit up on that sooner. The project is, you know, the village is taking out, you know, a substantial loan to front the capital costs associated with building these structures. You're going to have an annual payment. Once we start taking the waste in from the local industries, they're going to pay a tipping fee to bring the waste to our new disposal site. Those tipping fees will pay for the bond payment that the village is going to be incurring. They'll, you know, that's going to pay your mortgage bill. That way, there's no impact to the you know, normal sewer district user. Their bill isn't going to go up. We're going to have a new service at the wastewater treatment plant site that's going to, you know, provide a service and also revenue back to the village. So that's the concept of the project. We are asking for approval of our contract tonight to facilitate moving from where we are now through startup and operation of the digester. This would include, you know, all the items that are listed there between design and construction services. We are working with Cedarwood Engineering on the project. And it includes everything within the fence. The pipeline portion, we are asking for funding for. If that funding comes through, we would come back to move ahead with that, you know.
These other
Additional.
entities that you say we're gonna have contracts with,
Mhm.
bring in materials, how long are those contracts for? To be renewed at such and such a time?
Yeah, they're multi-year contracts. I would rather have the attorneys say what the terms of them are.
Right, I
But
understand.
they, you know, we would be a party to that process, establishing the contracts, what waste is gonna be brought in, that it's suitable for the digester. They would need to be long-term contracts to that effect. You know, we would try to tie them to the bond, and we've got to work through the, you know, the legalities of
Right.
how that works with, you know, Dave Merzig and, you know, the industries. But the concept is the tipping fees that, you know, they're paying, which are less than what they're paying to haul, you know, far away,
Sure.
will offset the bond payment.
We've also already got verbal commitments from all these places. Sunrise, Kraft,
Saputo and
Saputo. There's like 4 or 5 dairy companies that have wrote letters showing their intent to sign
I'd
contracts.
just like everybody to
Yeah,
be aware
yeah.
of that.
And
The
again, it's
concept
a win,
behind it.
it's a win for
Right.
everybody, because the dairy companies that are signing up with us, they're typically paying $500,000 or more a year to take all their way up to Utica. And by taking it to us, it's gonna at least knock half the price off, even more, to bring it here. So they're gonna be saving, so they're happy.
Right.
We'll be getting the money to pay off the bond for the digesters, so that's good for us. We will, if we do the project with the school in Craft, with the school, apparently, with the money we make from that, can go into our general fund, so that's gonna help the taxpayers, and there will be no tax increase at all. So everyone, the school will be happy, they'll save money on all the heating and the buses if they do it. So it's a win for everybody involved in the project. it's one of those very few projects that everyone is happy with it.
We,
Well, that's what I'd like everybody to hear, so everybody
Yeah,
knows.
it's
and we
a,
keep talking about it being green as one of the, you know, points that Governor Cuomo likes, all the buzzwords, but is it, I mean, is an engine, or it, like, whether it's school bus engines or the engines at Crafts plant, or are they greener in the, like, when you talk about global warming and those sorts of things, are we gentler to the environment with these engines in the process? I don't mean as it comes out of the digester, but I mean as we make use of the gas, is it a cleaner gas?
Natural gas is than burning diesel fuel.
Okay, so in our own little way, that's not, okay.
Releasing less hydrocarbons into the
Yeah,
environment.
I mean, it's still, it is, you know, it's gonna have exhaust coming off of, you know, like buses or boilers or whatnot, but it's, a gentler effect on the environment.
Okay.
if there's no other questions, need a motion so we can,
I'll make a motion that we approve Delaware Engineering Professional Services Agreement for the biogas project for a sum not to exceed the cost of $850,000.
I'll second the motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. John, Moffett? We are getting there.
I'm a little like Chief Lauser, I don't believe in emails either.
How about Chief DiLorenzo?
R.J. Lorenzo,
Chief,
sorry,
Chief, yeah.
wow. There you go.
Thank
You already have one of these, right?
Yeah, that's
I'm in the office
Okay.
row by your truck right now.
Yeah, this. You give me crossing the road or something. As far as the plant operation itself, everything was fine, other than, you know, we've been having some odor issues again. The Bio Cube, which is the odor control unit over there, can't run in the winter because it works on water spray. And as cold as this winter's been, it just shuts down. It freezes solid. In fact, it still has some issues with it, still being frozen. So our hopes is to have that up and running as soon as it thaws, the end of the month, let's hope, right?
Should have had Roger bring over his
Oh, there you go.
ice melter.
Yeah, we could do that. But as you can see, the leachate numbers are up considerably from last month. I believe last month we were at 41,000 for total number coming in. Our Sunrise is also, flows from them have been up as well. So the main points to cover tonight, we had a change of CL17 at the plant, which was 100% covered by New York City. It was $4,500. That's down in the Seabud building. And mentioning the odor control, the BioCube, we are trying to get another estimate. So it was almost $30,000 to have the media in the unit changed. The problem with that being, this gentleman that gave us the estimate couldn't tell us if that included installation. Not a lot of faith there.
Kind of question mark, yeah.
Yeah. So the gentleman, 7 years ago it was replaced, and it was roughly $30,000, so we're waiting to see if we can get another price from that unit. Again, that's covered, 67% of that will be covered under New York City's contract. Now, we're working on diffuser replacement, which we have over the plant, and that's on the sludge holding tanks. Another part where we're starting to see some odor generation. So that, we're gonna cover 70% of that will be covered by the city, by the village, 30% of that by the village themselves. That's outside of any of our projects that we're doing at the plant right now. So we had a cost on material alone on that was, just under $2,600. Then we do have on our sludge, and I didn't include it on yours, I just got this. We had a change order for the screw press. Yeah, I just found these out before I get to the meeting, so I didn't include these. We had a change order on the screw press because of the amount of sludge we were gonna generate at the plant with bringing in everything. When we tested a 24-inch screw press. and we're gonna pick up a 30. Now, actually, the manufacturer's giving us a discount on it. He's only gonna bump the price another 22,000, so instead of 264 for the equipment, we're at 286,000 for the equipment. So we just need Ed's approval to make that change.
Sure.
Sure.
I'll make a motion.
We need a motion, yes.
Got it.
Dave, you making a motion?
Yep.
Need a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And then last thing on my agenda is our contract, which we gave to Ed, contract renewal for the operation of the plant.
I think the middle.
Yep. I'll make a copy of that and get that back to you. Thank you.
That's the Delaware operations to run the plant, that's the
Yes,
contract
that's
you
the
got.
O&M
Yep.
contract for us to run the plant.
Need a motion for that? Have a motion? Need a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you for your work there, John.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And again, if you have the odor issues,
Yep.
even if it's on the weekend, give me a call and, yeah.
I will call you.
We'll see what we can do.
That's it.
Yeah.
I was working with my son today, I
Is
said,
there-
I know a guy.
It's always been such an issue, odor, is there, I mean, is there a system that kills odor in the winter, or is it just?
There's other systems out there, carbon systems and what have you, and the great selling point on this one that was there is they use it in Canada. So the question is, I'm not sure where in Canada, in a building, no. But you could use carbon. Right now, we're using an odor masker, which they throw in, which we get from Amrex up in Binghamton. We could use potassium permanganate as a chemical to add, which is an oxidizer. So we're actually looking into that. In fact, I believe we have quotes that just came in today over the treatment plant, so I have to pick them up tomorrow. So there is other avenues. And then these diffusers, once we put them in, add more oxygen to the tank, that's gonna help as well. So hopefully they have this done before everybody starts to open their windows and we get some complaints.
We'll know if it's not.
Yeah, right. So, again, thanks again.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan.
Still need the appointment, chief. John, still need the appointment.
Yes, sir. Next week.
You got it.
Okay, before we go any further, I had also put in a request to ask the judge if he would stop down. Would you come up for a minute, please, Judge?
I'm beginning to think that you invited me down here to ignore me.
I wouldn't do that.
Good evening, everybody.
Good
Hi,
evening.
Judge.
We invited you down because we had a discussion about the cameras.
Right.
You got it. Thank you for applying for the grant. You got the grant. And some of the, I know we had talked about it before, they're just video, it's no audio. And one of the things that everyone is showing concern about is the placement of the cameras. One was supposed to be up here in this area.
Two.
Two up here?
Two.
Two in this room?
Two in this room.
Where would they go and why? And it's not, I'm not challenging, it's for information.
It's security cameras for all the rooms in the building. As an example, which worked out quite well tonight because I heard the Robinson boy come in the door down there and was hollering, "Hello, anybody around? Hello?" And then he wandered up through here. You have no way to know who goes in there, what they do in there, or what they've done in there. Now, the video cameras, okay, are to be set up with the monitor upstairs, okay? With the monitors upstairs, there's actually nobody that actually views that tonight. The only time that you would actually do anything with that when there's nobody there is if you know that Jody says tomorrow, we're missing this, or we're missing that, or this has happened, or so forth. You go back and review it, and therefore you take care of it. Other than that, the only time that the monitor is actually looked at is if somebody happens to be in chambers up there. And we don't have time to sit there and watch what's going on. They're running all the time, but they're motion activated. Bruce may be able to give you even more information on that than I can. but they're motion activated even though they run all the time. So if somebody comes in here, let's say they break in the door, they do anything. The girls are down here and somebody's really irritated over Mr. Robinson's situation with his building and come into the room, you've got everything on videotape. It's nothing that is against anybody, for anybody, or anything. We have 4 in the main courtroom upstairs. We have 1 in the lobby as you come out here to cover the
You
doors.
already do, or you're going, that's the plan?
That's the plan.
Okay.
That's the plan. Now, this was all gone over with the mayor
No,
initially
no, I
when
didn't
we
know
did
if,
this.
when you said we have, I didn't know if you
No,
meant they were
no,
already.
nothing is installed.
Okay,
Nothing
okay.
is
No,
installed.
we talked about when you were applying for the grant about
Right.
doing it,
So that's where, I'm just going over where they all are. So there's one coming in, so you've got the window, you've got the door, okay, you've got the hallway that goes upstairs, you've got the little lobby that goes in upstairs, you've got all the areas that are critical that you can put on. Now, this monitor is like a 22 or 24-inch monitor that you're gonna have 10 screens on, so you know how big they are, okay? What you do is, like in our case, the majority of the screens will all be larger screens because we're interested in, when we have court, what's going on. We have 4 in the courtroom itself, we have all the rest of them so that we can see people coming and going and so forth. We don't even look at the small monitors that are there. If you need to bring up something has happened, you bring it up, the entire screen comes up on that particular monitor. But for the most part, nobody even looks at these things unless there's a problem.
How big how long a loop, time-wise, is it? You know, like, say somebody comes in and it kicks, the motion kicks on the machine, and.
It's always running. It's just a matter of,
Right, but I mean, how long is that incident maintained in the system?
I think it's just under a month.
Okay.
So in other words, you have to have an incident that transpires, you have to be aware of it,
Within a
and
month.
then you go after it in that aspect. It's not a long-lasting system, like next year, you're looking at the thing and what was going on, it's like, I think it's just under a month that the thing cycles.
And if the monitor is upstairs, like when Cherish the Ladies were here, Music on the Delaware, they used this room.
To change.
Is a dressing room. How are we able to turn off the cameras?
Can we put a kill switch on it from
cover
here?
them up?
From here, I don't know, but if it's a nighttime incident, there's nobody upstairs to begin with.
Doesn't,
But
No, I
if
understand.
It doesn't
No,
matter.
I
They're
know,
still gonna be
I know what you're
changing.
saying. I know what you're saying.
Yes, go
I am
ahead.
sure
Yes,
there
Chief.
is.
If I could interject, if it's anything like the one at the police department, it sounds very similar, we have the 9, you can deactivate cameras for a designated period. So you could actually make it, even though there is motion, it totally just cuts it out. Ours are set up the same way, if there is, it doesn't record except when there is motion. And if you can actually go in a room, if you hold perfectly still, it'll stop after about 10 seconds.
But if you
there's
want
the
to
same
turn it
system.
off in a certain room, can you turn it off in that room, or do you have to go to the monitor and turn it off from the monitor?
You have to turn it off from the monitor. You have to turn it off, there's one unit. So wherever the unit is, that's the control, there's actually a computer, it's a mouse. Wherever that is, that's where you turn stuff on and off.
Got a mouse and a keyboard. At the town, we use it, it's wonderful up there. We have 3 or 4 monitors, we have them upstairs, we have them in the judge's chamber, Rhonda has one out by her, so she can, if she's there by herself, she can see who's coming up the walkway. We have them so they're outside. We had a perfect example, the FedEx box a week ago, when Rhonda came in, the door was open on it. So they reviewed the tape and found out that the door just popped open on itself. Nobody was messing around.
is the camera inside or outside? Your camera, that monitor
Yeah.
people come up?
We have some outside too that monitor the parking lot, the walkway.
We don't have that.
It's very comforting to Rhonda when she's there by herself, or
Sure.
when the deputies are there by themselves. It's,
Well, that's the same as with Chris. She's upstairs alone and has no ability to see who's coming upstairs at any time.
And you can turn it off, like, say someone is gonna make use of this room as a dressing room, and I use that example just because
We're
it
going to
happened.
have the same system they do, so whatever the chief is telling you there, that's gonna work the same way on our system.
So we would, like, Saturday from 4 PM till midnight, we need it not to be activated for this room, and then we let you or whoever know
Right.
ahead of time, and
Right.
then it's built in to kill
It's
them.
very,
Right.
and actually, I don't know what you get for cameras, but some of them you can pan certain directions, I mean, it's very controllable. There's nothing, basically, there's nothing you can't do with it. And we have 9 cameras over there, inside now, and it's Some of them are audio record, some of them are not. It just depends on the locations. But yeah, you can turn cameras on and off at designated times whenever you need to. You can leave them on even though there's no motion if you wanted to. I mean, if it's the same system, it's a great system.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea, as long as there's some control over it. And I mean, Walton is Walton, you can't say it'll never happen.
The other thing that goes with that, if it's the same, in order to view anything in the past or record anything, it's all password protected. It's not like anybody can go up there and review what happened yesterday.
Would
The data recorded on it, in my ignorance, be subject to Freedom of Information Act?
No.
And there's no audio.
No audio.
No audio.
It's not wired in, it's not gonna be wired in for audio because you and us have sensitive information that nobody else needs to know. Right?
Yeah.
And that
Sure,
was
we have
one of
meetings
our-
here,
our
we have
executive sessions.
executive sessions
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Right. That's the same with us. We don't have, you're not privy to that conversations.
So if they're in here, and we have like this meeting right now would be recorded.
Right.
If you had a handicapped person that you're using this as a courtroom, that would be recorded just.
That would be
upstairs.
recorded automatically.
Is there a chance that the people that would need to meet with their lawyer confidentially and have to turn
You
it
can't
off?
hear anything even if they meet with them. So, that really has no bearing.
How do you prevent somebody from draping something over it, like you've got a system in place? How do you?
Well, they're all in the ceilings.
Oh, okay.
They're all in the ceilings. The little round balls you see everywhere?
Yep.
You go into the gas stations, you go into the Big M, you go anywhere, everybody's got them. I mean, even Walton, almost every store in Walton's got
You
them.
can set your cell phone up anymore with the things, It's-
Right.
It's almost,
Right, these are all ceiling.
1995 plus,
Yeah.
seriously.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know.
That's how these people get in trouble with, with all these cell phones out here.
Okay. Any other questions?
The grant covers complete installation?
Complete installation.
Any idea of what maintenance, I guess, Chief, Bruce, you've had experience in any maintenance problems that would, continuing servicing as time goes on?
Ours kind of, I don't know what yours, Bruce, but ours kind of will come and go once in a while. They'll go off and come back on. I think that's just a product of the signal.
It's electronic, sure.
Yeah, there was
Systematic,
quite a
servicing or
problem in the
anything?
town with the signal. They had to come in and redo it several times. Is that right, Bruce?
Yeah, and we had it all joint in the same box as the internet, and they separated it. It was just easier and less hassle.
Yeah, because it was a real problem with it dropping on, in and out.
Bruce or Ryan, any downside that you, or anything you would like to have had done differently?
Nope.
No, I mean, really, 10 more cameras would have been good. I mean, honestly, there in the PD, it's invaluable. I mean, conversation goes on somewhere. Most of the cameras in the station are audio. So, I mean, you have somebody in there for whatever interview purpose. I mean, it would be different with the court, but.
Maybe you'll look into seeing if you give the camera, just pull them off the wall, stick them on their chest with some Velcro, and you got your body camera.
It's a long wire, though.
Yeah.
No, there's,
Okay.
my standpoint, there's no downside to it. It's a great system.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't see any downside to it either. In the past, we've had problems with people running into cars in the parking lot and stuff, and now if it happens, we'll be able to find out who did it.
And after a month, it deletes automatically, or do you
Yeah,
have
just
to do
automatically.
something to?
Is that right, Brian?
It's correct. It's a DVD system, or a
Right.
DVR system, kind of like you're at home. You can record a certain number of programs before
Sure.
the race is over. It's the same type of thing. But if you know that you need something, you can burn it to a CD.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Especially if
or a
you-
USB drive, either one.
Especially if you needed it for a court or something. Somebody ran into somebody else's car.
Well, that would be one of the reasons why the monitor wouldn't be downstairs. If it were downstairs, Jody then would be responsible for it. She would have to make the DVDs if we need them. And then if an incident did happen, she's got to sign a complaint, and she's got to go upstairs and testify. And I'm sure that Jody is not going to want to go upstairs and testify to any incidents that happened that she has no control over and no knowledge of whatsoever.
We actually have a form. When I burn CDs, I actually do a form and say, here's a copy, this is the date and time that we did it, and then for testimony purposes.
So who will be responsible for that? For the-
Will be upstairs.
You or Chris?
Chris.
Chris?
because I'm the judge, so she's gotta
Okay.
do it.
Okay,
I can't testify in my own court.
okay.
We can assist with any, like, as far as the technical stuff.
Yeah, see, all of that stuff has to be done by somebody else, but as far as, you know, looking at it and all that stuff is
Where'd you
just,
get your knack for grant writing? So great.
we're just lucky.
No, I don't know.
Any other questions for the judge, or any other thoughts about it?
What's that?
How much money did you get for this?
We got replacement windows for upstairs too, for pretty much everything, and I think that grants for like 14 or 16,000, is that what I said?
14
Four-
change.
14
Yeah,
and change.
14,000, I think.
Okay. No other questions? Thank you, Judge, I appreciate it.
Are we good to go on this then?
I don't know if, I'm fine with it for sure. I don't know if you need a motion or
Did
whatever.
you decide
but-
where you're putting them down here?
We have,
They laid it out into the best possible places in the rooms, so, you know, I can't,
Strategically, they figured it
yeah,
out.
right. Right.
you mainly got them, my concern is the front office, you wanna watch people coming in from the door.
Right.
You don't want it really in front of the window, watching everybody inside the office
No,
either.
no, no. Oh, no,
That's what I'm saying.
That's not the idea.
These girls don't wanna have to like
That's-
brush their nose and pick their
That's-
teeth, and everybody's watching them on
That's
camera.
not the idea, this
Well,
whole
that's
thing,
what,
the
that's why I
idea,
just,
not,
not that you do, I just wanna make them feel comfortable
It's
that
not.
we're not monitoring them all.
and we
the
didn't
We
do
have a
this with
record.
that idea.
No pie for you.
time. No pie for me, I know. That's all, yeah, they're gonna set them up in a way so you're watching the
Right, oh,
entrances
yeah.
and exits of the door.
Absolutely.
That's
Well,
what that's.
This
Pick
may be
on 'em.
one
I
of the
don't wanna
moments
be
when
on
you know you've been
television.
talking about something too long.
Okay, that's it, I won't go any further.
So we good to go? Okay, good, thank you.
All thanks.
Thank you, Judge.
Quick, something else.
All right, number 4, public input. If anyone here would like, okay, go ahead.
Do you
I'm
want me
sorry.
to sit or stand?
You can do any, whatever makes you feel, whatever you're comfortable. You've been sitting for a long time, if you want to stand.
Yes.
The camera's on you.
Oh, boy. My name is Patty Wilcox. I reside at 41 Howell Street in Walton. I was one of the residents who had their pipes freeze over the winter. And it's a very distressing issue for me, as unfortunately Ed and Jody know. I need to apologize to both of them for my harsh tone when addressing the issue, and I am doing my best to remain calm tonight, because my home is very unique. It's a piece of the old train depot, which means that heating it in the winter has, there's specific sort of, our heating system is a non-traditional heating system. It's an open, hot water radiant system. And part of that system functioning is us having consistent water pressure. So we, when our pipes froze this winter, we were left with no heat. And we did our best to keep warm using electric heaters. And unfortunately, that only kept the house to about 40 or 50 degrees. And we tried to remain very respectful through all of it. It led to extensive damage in our home, including breaking our dishwasher and our washing machine and ruining our hardwood kitchen floors. And we didn't say anything to anyone in the village about it because we just wanted to move on. Unfortunately, I got a letter in the mail informing me that I would be charged for a frozen water meter, and that was very distressing to me. It's not something that I wanted to happen. I can assure
Why
you
would we charge for frozen water?
all of
meter?
that.
Because it's the homeowner's responsibility to keep their water meter from freezing.
Unfortunately, I hope you'll all understand that in this scenario, there was nothing we could have done to keep our water meter from freezing. And we did our best to be courteous to the village throughout this time. I know that it was a very hard time for everyone. There was a lot of snow. It was very cold. But I hope that you could offer us some understanding as well and remove this charge from our bill. And I also think that it would be a good gesture to everyone whose water froze to have at least their water capital removed for the past period. Because I know I was personally asked by the mayor to leave my water running so that it didn't freeze again, which in my small home was honestly very difficult because I had to hear water running 24/7 all winter long. I have a very small home, and you hear everything in it. And I know that's no one's fault here. Our pipes were laid improperly so many years ago, you guys probably don't really even know about it. But that was the cause of the water freezing, and I hope that you'll all consider helping out all of the residents. You already did help the residents get the issue resolved, but I think this would be an extra gesture of understanding, because I don't think anyone in this room would like to live without running water in their homes for even a day.
Were your pipes frozen in the house or under the ground before it got to the house, or both?
Well, our pipes were frozen they were frozen in the village lines before our curb stop.
Okay.
But we're in a unique situation, and I think Roger or Ed could explain. The pipes were laid improperly, and they were teed through CNC feeds and never dug deep enough, the village pipes. So they're only about 2 feet below the ground.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's something that Ed has talked about addressing this spring, which I think is a wonderful idea. But it's something that we're all doing the best we can with it, but I don't think that it's fair to be charged for a water meter when I already went through a very distressing situation twice.
How expensive is a water meter?
200 and something.
Two.
And the water meter froze as a result of the pipes being frozen, is that?
Yes, because our heating system failed. Because we have to have water pressure for our heating system to work. It's a hot water radiant system, but it's an open system.
See, I'll just jump in, and maybe I'm going the wrong direction, cut me off, but if the water line outside but into her home was installed properly and knowingly, or we know now and haven't fixed it, and if the line freezing in that location cascaded in and caused all the other problems because of the kind of heating system we have, how do we hold her responsible for that?
Maybe Roger can explain how, Roger, not to get you involved, but I mean, you're the DPW superintendent. Can you explain how a water meter would freeze and break?
Yeah, it's cold enough to freeze and break.
But I mean, if the pipe is frozen outside, does it automatically break the meter on the inside?
No, that's the only one out of the 26 of them.
Where's the water meter, outside the house?
No, it's
Inside the
just
house.
inside the
It's
house. Yeah, it is inside the house, but our
So your
washing,
house- Your house was cold enough inside to freeze the water meter?
and our dishwasher and our washing machine, which I completely set aside. I was told that this was just a clerical matter, that it was an automatic charge, and if I came before the board, it would be possible to remove it. So I'm asking you, as board members, to please remove this charge, and also consider lessening the water charges for all the residents who didn't have water and were instructed to run their water.
We said at a trickle,
Yes.
not to leave it full blast running for,
I understand,
Yeah.
but you did say add a trickle, and I think that it's only fair to
we recommended that
compensate-
to help them not to freeze the pipes.
Yes, or we could
It was
have.
a suggestion, it wasn't a mandate.
It was for me. It was for me.
I didn't
Well, yeah,
mandate, I said you can
Okay,
run
so
it
my
for a
other
trickle.
choice, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to raise my voice. This is honestly very distressing, because my water did freeze again. It froze twice. So it was very important that I leave my water running, otherwise the village would have had to come back every other week to get it running again. And I also had to I have a business here in town that I'm trying to grow, that's very important to me, and I had to take several days off to handle this issue. And
But it all goes back to the water line.
being improperly installed.
Not being deep enough. Am I winging it here, Roger, or is that?
Well, obviously, this has been the worst year we've had.
Well, sure.
That water line has frozen in the past, but not every year. For the past 2 years, that water line has froze. That and the other ones that are even deep enough in the ground have froze.
Sure.
I don't recall it freezing last year. I was there last year, it didn't freeze.
CNC did, I think, or something, didn't they?
It seems like it did. I mean, over the past years, I've been there a few times, not a lot, but every once in a while, it freezes up. This year, we had some lines that were 5 foot underground.
Yeah, I mean, unless I'm missing something, I don't see how we can hold them
But
responsible for.
I think what you're missing is the water
Huh?
meter, which is installed in the house.
And
I'm
at
not
the
trying
day,
to
what
get
we
you
need
riled.
to-
Whether it be my house, your house, or Ed's house, it's up to you to keep that from freezing.
So just to say, I would have kept it from freezing if I had running water. That's the whole case here, is that I would have happily, very happily kept my water meter from freezing, because if I had running water. But because I had no running water,
Tough part is
it
you
could
had
not
that
work.
type of heat.
I know, but that's just what I have in my home. And I don't understand, this was a really difficult time for me. I think you know me personally. And I would really appreciate some consideration that this is not something that I could have prevented. I would have if I could have. I assure you that.
I'm thinking that if I understand the situation right, the meter froze up because the water wasn't coming in.
Correct.
The water wasn't coming in because the village, unfortunately, our responsibility, the pipes were installed in such a way that they were vulnerable to freezing up.
Correct.
That differs from if the meter were to freeze up at Charlie Gregory's house, and then it's Charlie Gregory's, what did I do to keep my, did I go out on vacation, turn the heat off?
Right.
Or turn it down too low? Shame on me.
Mhm.
In this case, you couldn't have.
You couldn't have
You
prevented
couldn't do
it.
it, you
No.
couldn't
You
have
didn't
prevented
cause it, you couldn't have prevented it.
Correct.
For the other part, though, for the capital consideration, the drawback we run into that, and something that we all look at, is what precedents are we setting?
Mhm.
And were we to grant your request on that, my thoughts are that then anybody else that did the same thing would come back and say, well, I want the same treatment.
Mhm.
Can I interject a little bit about the capital charge? That's a set fee. We have to collect that money, or we can't pay the bond for the upgrade that was done, that $3 million project that we did.
So she
That's
would-
what the
but
capital for
she'd
is.
wanna- oh.
So
Usage.
what I'm
She would
saying
want
is-
usage, which, how do we determine how much, you know?
My understanding is that the Village of Franklin has created a sort of usage scheme to help out those whose water's pipes froze there. But honestly, I mean, my water bill is, typically extremely affordable, and I'm so thankful to have running water at a price I can afford. It's a true thing that I love, is taking a hot shower is just so wonderful at the turn of a knob. And I've lived places where that isn't a reality, so I understand. I just think that the village has had a very, I just think it would be nice for the village to acknowledge that it is difficult to live without running water. And all of the residents who had to do that should be offered some sort of acknowledgement.
Well, we did, we sent our crews out to throw the pipes out so you would have water again. We certainly do acknowledge that you need water.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't determine how much water, you might have had your tap on 24/7 full force, we don't know that. Somebody else might have had a trickle. We can't determine how much water you've used and, what money can or cannot be excused. I think that's an issue we need to set aside, and you just want to focus on one issue.
Okay.
I hate to interject here, but I'm listening to the 2-foot thing and so forth and so on. I understand that, 2 feet in the ground is possibly gonna freeze. Okay?
It's also below a parking lot.
Right. No, I understand all that, but what I'm getting at is what you asked for was the money back instead of paying for the meter. Now there's, right?
I was asking for the meter charge to be removed from my
Right.
bill.
But see, with the water freezing up, doesn't exclude the meter inside the home.
Except that her heating system.
I understand her heating system broke down, but then there's a lot of people that use electric heaters and so forth on their water meters, right? And I'm not trying to get out of this,
I
I'm just
did.
explaining.
I did use an electric heater, and my home still only got up to 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And I have a small home. I had 2 heaters running, but I have almost no insulation. It's a brick home. That's basically the only heating system that would work in that home.
See, if
Which is why we have
holding
it.
her responsible for maintaining the meter, we're not holding ourselves responsible for maintaining water flow into the house. We can't have it both ways.
I'm
I
not
don't think-
looking at it both ways. What I'm saying is per pipe, which is 2 feet below ground, and like we've had 5, 6 feet froze this year. That's what I'm getting at. And there've also been frozen meters, other meters, right?
Not as the ones with the water lines that froze up.
Okay.
We've had meters, a lot of meters that froze themselves.
Right.
We had 20-some homes that had frozen pipes. Her house was the only only home that had the meter that broke because of the cold. Everyone else that had frozen pipes didn't have broken water meters.
Right.
Because their home's heat didn't require water flow.
But does the water come in and then there's like a heating system, right, that the water goes through and circulates it through the home, correct?
To be honest, I really don't know much about the system. I didn't install it. I'm not a
Okay.
plumbing professional.
No,
All I
I'm
know
not.
is that we had to live in our house with no heat. And if you think that that was a fun thing to do when it was cold enough to freeze the pipes 5 feet down, and we
No one-
did that out of choice,
No one said that. I'm
Okay.
not saying that. I'm just asking, once the water comes into the house, it doesn't come hot. It comes in cold, has to go into some kind of container or heating unit that heats the water up and then circulates it through the floor. That's what I'm just saying.
as far as I understand it.
I don't know, you know about that stuff?
No, that's true. I mean, it's got some type of a system that heats the water up and goes on through. For your heat.
Yes.
I guess the point I'm getting at is if the water comes into the house and it goes through a heating system to make it heat the coils up.
Right.
If water is frozen on the outside, there's still water inside the house in the heater that goes through the coils.
But
Does
the-
it stop automatically or
But it
does
could be
it?
the water in the coils could get used up.
And then
We're
there's
not
nothing to
talking
replace
about a
it.
system we don't even know about.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I wish I had more information. All I know is I had no heat. Whenever there
Okay.
was no water, there was no heat.
Okay.
I'd make a motion that at the very least, we negate the fee for the meter.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm not sure how I feel about it. How long do I get to think?
10 seconds. No, I give you.
No, the sad part is you've got a full 2-foot deep pipe there. that
Okay.
was Put in by the village.
Yeah, I'll vote aye.
Yes?
I'll go aye,
Okay.
but
Thank you all for your time. Well, how do we get it fixed this spring? Do you need me to set up another appointment, or?
Well, as soon as it gets going, I'll have to talk to Roger and see how we're going about it.
Okay, thank you.
But just so you understand, now that you're here, this part is taken care of. Once the pipes are installed at the proper level, you understand that to your curb stop that you have there in front of your house, from that curb stop to your house is your responsibility.
Yes.
If our water doesn't freeze, if from now on, if we have it low enough in the pipe, it doesn't freeze to the curb stop, but from the curb stop into your building, then it freezes, that's your responsibility.
I
That-
will
that's-
happily have it be my
No,
responsibility.
okay, I'm just, other people ask questions, I don't wanna make sure you just understand that's about.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else like to mention something on public input?
I got a question for
Mr.
Roger.
Dolph? Oh, yeah, finish, guy,
How
finish.
many other water lines have we got that are somewhere near that level? That's what I'm getting at. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Need to know whether he's made a decision on the recorder building about the back taxes on it?
I don't
Well,
think
everybody puts their head down. We had discussion, I don't think we just made a permanent, I had brought that up the other day, and we need to discuss it now, make a motion on that if,
I'll go ahead and make a motion that the village forgive the taxes on the reporter company building.
Before we do that, my understanding was that the town was going to put in in-kind services that we're going to.
With the trucks, right, you're gonna do the trucks and help with them.
Right, the estimated cost to tear the building down is between $50,000 and $75,000. The grant is $100,000.
Right.
So the grant will be eaten up with just the cleanup of the interior of the building and the purchase of the building. So the town will be running some money. We're looking for some other grants right now. Planning's working on it for us. And then we'll be applying for more from soil and water once the building comes down.
I have a question. You just said something about the purchase of the building.
Right.
What do you mean by that?
We are purchasing it from the county.
We meaning the town.
And then when the project is complete, Ron will send an email down to you that they told us in the grant that it can't be changed names for 5 years, so it will be transferred at the end of the 5-year period.
Well, here's my question, I asked Ron to call me, but we didn't get to see in the chat. If the grant is coming in from both of us, right, there's 50,000 for you and 50,000 from us, or is it, or that's not the way it is anymore?
That's not the way it really ever was. They named it a town and village grant because the property sits in the village. but the town
Okay, so you
applies
guys got the 100,000, okay. That's where because they had sent us a letter too.
Right.
And we
both
shouldn't
had
assume, we both thought we had 100,000.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're purchasing the reporter company from the county, because we had that tax stipulation, some of that, a portion of that money should come to us. So I don't think we should forgive our taxes. It should be percentage. We're gonna lose $15,000.
Yeah.
And that's 12,000 taxes plus 2,000 penalties and interest.
Yeah.
Is it worth $15,000 for the village to have the building go down and get the area clear? I
Depends on
think
who
it
you
is.
ask,
Yeah.
probably.
I think it is. I think the improvement on Delaware Street, you know, we're not gonna get the money back. The owner isn't gonna, it's already gone into county. We have an opportunity for it
The
to go
county is the
down.
owner of,
Yeah,
technically
the
now,
county is the
owner of
owner
the property right now.
So, we have a chance of having it go away, costing the village $15,000 in taxes penalty.
What's the purchase price and what percentage would we get back?
It depends on how much is owed, it goes by percentage. Like if this town, or the school was owed some, if the town was owed some, how much goes to the county and how much is ours?
Well, it
Well,
will
that
all go
wouldn't
to
be
the
it.
county right now because the town and the school are
They're
made
flush,
whole
yes.
at the end of this.
Right.
But we aren't.
Without the penalty, there's $12,111.47 owed on the building, to the village.
Okay.
And what is the purchase price to the county?
$36,651.54. What the county did was waive the
Penalties.
penalty and interest, which they normally don't do when a municipality wants to buy it, except that we're doing flood mitigation with the project, so that's why they chose to do the benefit for the whole thing.
So what percentage, Jody, do you know of that 36,000 would come back to the village if we did not forgive the taxes?
I don't know that, Bev would have that answer probably.
You know, if it's a matter of $1,000, that is what would come back, then I don't think it's worth.
Well, what would happen is if the village doesn't pass this resolution, then the county's going to look for the full amount, which would be the county's due and what's due to the village. So you are losing $12,000.
Which is a whole percent.
It's a lot of money for us, because the county won't help us. It's a tough one to swallow, Bruce. We ask the county for help in our taxes, and they say no, but then they want us to forgive the taxes. So it's a tough one for us to swallow.
Right, but and to do that, to pay the village, then the county budget's gonna go up dramatically, which means everybody's taxes are going up to cover that.
Okay, and then, I guess that's an argument for a different time, because
Yeah.
then I would say, you know what, the county shouldn't collect for the town or school either. Let everybody just do what we have to do. And then the budget would go down dramatically. But that's another argument for another time.
Charlie made a motion, I think,
Yes.
right, Charlie?
Yes.
Did you make the motion? Is there a second? No second?
I'll make the second. Not knowing what amount would come back, you know, it's certainly not gonna be a high portion, I don't think, of the 36,000.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that an aye or a yes?
Just
Or-
an aye.
oh, okay, opposed? Okay, pass. Okay,
So we need a copy of that motion so that I can send it to the county.
anything else you want to bring up? Is that it for you, Bruce?
That's it.
Oh, okay. Anyone else care to talk about something? Okay.
When's the budget gonna be available that we can see it?
Maybe tomorrow.
Maybe,
Depends on
yeah,
what you do later on here.
maybe tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go with the trustee reports. I'll start with you, Tink. You have anything?
No, Roger pretty well covered everything. I had anything I was gonna say to him about.
Okay, Dave?
Were you
Holly?
gonna- You're gonna talk about the snow, Mr. Schwartz, comments about snow removal?
You can talk about it. That's
Okay,
that's your committee.
one of the things that's brought up at last month's meeting was whether there's any recourse for snow removal on sidewalks. We sent that query to our lawyer. We don't have an answer yet. We hope to have an answer next month on that follow-up. And the question was, is there a requirement to have a recourse for citizens that are fined for not clearing their sidewalks of snow? So right now, that's still an open issue. And that's all.
I thought it was because we have a timestamped photo of the problem that it wasn't necessary to have.
What his question was, is there recourse? The recourse may be, you see that, but, I think Steve had talked to the lawyer, we just wanted to get something in writing from the lawyer as to exactly.
I thought it was a case that they wrote a letter to the board like anybody else and came, like Ms. Wilcox, who just came before the board, no?
And that could suffice. It's, Mr. Short thought that there was supposed to be something specifically in the code, but if it's just a letter like Ms. Wilcox did to the board, then that's fine. We just want to have something from him officially closing that.
It was brought up at prior, they had a hearing on it, and it wasn't passed. That particular section was not put into it. I spoke to Dave Mercick about it, our attorney. He felt, verbally told me that doing the pictures and everything else would be itself enough to do, not making it have to go to court, and the judge something else to worry about. But he's on vacation. When he comes back, I'll have him get something in writing, and we'll give it to Mr. Schwartz. Okay?
Yeah, good.
And that's all I have.
Teresa, you have anything?
No, the chief took care of everything, thank you.
He's a good chief, he
He
makes
is
big
indeed.
bucks. Okay, mayor's report. The only thing I wanted to bring up is, we have two properties, 10 Mead and 10 Harvey, that we went through foreclosure that the village now has possession of. On April 25th, at 11 o'clock, we're gonna be at 10 Mead Street. It's gonna go up for public auction. We have an auctioneer that's gonna come over, Mr. Robinson, and at 11 o'clock on the 25th at 10 Mead, at the location, there will be a public auction for the house. And at 1 o'clock, the same date, on 10 Harvey Street, that place will go up for auction as well. So I just want to put that out for the public. And that's as far as I have. Number 7, county tax foreclosure stipulation.
The county sent us another stipulation like they do every year, and if you guys would like to do that again, I need a motion for that. it allows us to piggyback on their foreclosure and possibly get some of our unpaid tax money.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, number 8, public hearing on the village budget.
Do you wanna set a date and time on the tentative budget that we have prepared?
Yes, I think you said we have to give time to,
We have to have 10 days, so the earliest we could have it would be the 20th, and that's kind of when I need to have it done, so,
so, public hearing on the 20th, we need to have the time, right?
correct.
Does the time matter? We can, our discretion, any time is fine. Can you guys check your calendars on the 20th of April?
I'm good.
I might not be here.
Okay.
What's more convenient, do you think, for the general public who would be interested?
You're not gonna be here either, right?
No.
Well, thank you for worrying about the public, you're not gonna be here.
Well, I am worried about them.
6 o'clock.
I'll wait.
Sure, yeah, what do you want, yeah, 8 o'clock at night?
I'll wait and see if I have a better
6 in the
offer.
morning.
You can't, you're gonna have to be here.
Have to be here, otherwise we're not gonna be able to have a chance.
I've got the entire day and evening,
Charlie, you're good too?
Yes, I am.
so whatever is most convenient for the people that would wanna come and attend, so it doesn't really matter to me.
I'm thinking of folks that are working, an evening meeting, probably would be more,
So at 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Okay. Good enough?
Yes, it's fine with me.
Oh, thank you.
And along with that too, could we piggyback on that one? And if, the budgets are approved, can we do local law number 1 to change the sewer rates?
That sounds good.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
Okay, do that both. Okay. Okay, number 10, local
We did
flood.
that.
Oh, we did already, that's right, I'm sorry. Number 11. I believe.
Yep, first time home buyer,
I did see that.
I don't have one
I put it with your packet, it's not on
Oh,
the agenda,
okay.
but I did put it in your
on. Yep,
packet.
I saw it.
Yep.
We've got another request for some down payment money of $15,000 for the first time home buyer project. This is all like HUD funds.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Who did that? The second?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 12, Memorial Day Parade.
Received a letter in regarding the Memorial Day Parade, which would be May 25th. It would start at 10 o'clock, so I just need a motion to approve that.
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And number 13, metal detecting.
Yep, there was a letter that we received that I included in your packet. Got a couple guys that would like to do some metal detecting in our parks.
Art. Motion.
Do we need to?
Are we,
The list that they're asking for, we don't have authority over all of
Right.
these
Oh,
areas,
really?
so. first
Fairgrounds
of-
and rest areas.
But we were gonna just,
Fairground, yeah.
yeah, just do for our properties.
Yeah, so for Ben Park, Kelly Park, and Austin Lincoln Park.
I'll just say our property, Jim.
Yeah.
Didn't we talk about this last year, and if there was anything of value found, they were supposed to let us know?
yeah, I think we worked out where they turned, seriously, they turned it into the police and wait 2 weeks
Yeah.
but there was some process. We, I don't know if there was a law, but.
Yeah.
Well, it was
Right.
actually run by the lawyer, and he said they had to return it.
That's
Right.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a motion by,
Motion.
Second?
Well, is somebody gonna inform these gentlemen about
just
it?
it's our properties,
For
yes.
our properties.
But I mean, that they're supposed to turn it into us if it's something that's been, yeah, okay.
They find a gold coin, I'm sure they'll turn it into.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to think so.
So we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I almost forgot, there is one thing I have to read. I have a letter from the Oneonta Family YMCA. They asked me to read it at the meeting, and I said I would. Dear Mayor Snow, on behalf of the YMCA, we are writing this letter to go on record to clarify the recent discussion that occurred on March 24th, Walton High School Board meeting. The Oneonta Family YMCA was invited by the Walton School District to explore the possibility of offering after-school programming to be held in the elementary school and to explore the additional possibility of operating a Department of Health permitted summer program to be hosted in the Walton School facility. The first step, of course, was to survey the community as to their needs after school and the summer programming. We did this through a collaboration with the school district, and a survey was placed on the Walton School District website. Our official position and intent is to use that information gathering to make informed decisions regarding what we believe the community may be asking of our YMCA. Our plan would be to offer high-quality programming and to be a collaborative partner with the school district to provide a win-win situation for everyone. We would follow a similar proven model that we currently use in the city of Oneonta and surrounding communities, and we'd hope that we would have access to the village parks. The home base for this type of program would be the Townsend Elementary School, and qualified staff would walk children to the park for swimming lessons and other supervised activities. We hope this helps your village board to understand that what we've been asked of us and our response to this point. Thank you for your understanding in this matter. Frank Russo, Executive Director, YMCA. Excuse me, I'm getting a little bit of a cold, so. Other than that, I don't have anything else unless anyone else does. Then I'll entertain a motion to,
Motion. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.